Big icebergs around here. This is really, really beautiful.
Big icebergs, nice size, passing through.
High up on the ship, and you're looking down on the pack ice. There's a leopard seal over there. It's very easy to see the route through the maze, but when you're down at this level, you can't really see. It's just a whiteout. It's hard to imagine where you're going to go.
Kimberly, Kim, the blue, look at this blue over here is incredible. What does that come from? Do we know?
That's old ice. It's the same thing with if you compress all the air out of the ice, it is reflecting to your eye more blues, and it's absorbing more reds.
It's just incredible.
Dense ice absorbs more reds, reflects more blues. White snow is reflecting all the colors, which is giving you that white color because there's so much air in fresh snow.
It's just incredible.
It is incredible, and it gets really deep blue.
It's really deep. This is the deepest I've seen it. Incredible. All this ice is fresh water. Over time, this salt is bleached out.
This black stuff, remember, is just frozen seawater, and it's just been frozen, and all the salt's gone. It's just solid, fresh ice. This big stuff came from all the glaciers around here. It's very old. It could be hundreds of years old, depending on how far it's traveled towards the shore as the glaciers move down the valley. So this could be several hundred-year-old ice. And the older it is, the bluer it's going to be.
And we're having a snow storm sort of here. Not a storm, but a pretty nice little
Look at the blue
fall.
Straight down below
The
you.
blue is incredible. We're looking down underwater. The blue is incredible. I'm going to stop taping and get a picture of this. We are moving along and backing up a little bit now. Kim is backing up again. We're in a Zodiac. It's got a flat bottom, of course, a wooden bottom. It's all rubber, not rubber, but a type of rubber. There are pontoons along the side going up to the front. We go to a point in the front and the back. In the back,
plankton.
Sharpened pencils.
And see, there's a rock right in there. See, there's a rock right in that. That is from somewhere inland. As it's dragging itself down the valley, it's picking up rocks and debris and depositing them out here. So some of these rocks in this bay could be from miles and miles inland. But the more intense sun you get throughout the summer, in December 21st during the solstice, you get almost 24-hour daylight down here. That's something else. That's a huge glacial iceberg. And we don't get too near those in the Zodiac because that is an unstable feature. As you can just see, it's got devil horns. It wants to crack, and you can hear them crack, and they come crashing down. Now, some of them will implode like buildings and just come... And they send out this intense wave. That ice, the way it's cracking and sort of tearing, like peeling off the side of the mountain there.
Like scarred. There are scars along the wall of the mountain. Miles and miles of snow and ice. And the expression, water everywhere, not a drop to spare, we know that's not true here because this water is converted into water that we drink on board. We're in neutral right now, and everybody's taking pictures. Almost like a National Geographic layout, is one of the remarks just heard. Right now, looking straight up at the folks going up the mountain. Now, we're not going to be sinking knee-deep into this snow and ice. It's a solid ice. We're going to Wally's cabin, which we can see. It really, as we were coming into this area, the only thing we saw besides the ice and snow was the cabin, the hut. 7 all the time are all that will be allowed in the hut. Only 7, and the way Wally describes it is there were 7 gentlemen sharing the hut.
Which I really recommend. The view from up there is spectacular. Looking down on all the pack ice and the ship in the ice, it's really nice. And it's not really hard walking. It's nothing like yesterday. It's packed, firm, terra firma ice.
That's good to know. Again, we're looking at this ship. The sun is not out yet. I mean, it's misty. The fog is lifted. We don't have a fog, but it's a...
Mountains, the range, the peninsula range where Wally mapped, all of that. He came from way up there, and then he came down...
Talking about Wally Herbert?
By dog. Imagine going over this in dog sleds. The cracks, look how the snow bridges are. There's all these cracks, but the snow lightly covers them, so if for some reason your dog slips into a crevasse, down it goes. There's no getting it out.
Goodbye, doggy.
What?
Goodbye, doggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wally was speaking about when times are tough, and when he was sledging, they're called sledges. They'd have as much as 1,600 pounds in weight, and he'd be pushing these sledges along with all these dogs, and dogs were used occasionally to feed the dogs. They would have to kill a dog, survival being what it is in this inhospitable territory. You would kill a dog to feed dogs. Again, we're in the South Atlantic, and in a few moments we will be stepping foot for the first time on the continent of Antarctica, the bottom of the world, the last continent. Here we go, moving along. We've cranked it up a bit. Just noticing one of the Zodiacs passing by an iceberg, going right to left, and they dwarfed. You see the red parkas out there, and I guess about 10 people, and the pilot is standing, and another one is just disappearing behind the iceberg, going right behind it, heading right to the right side, and the Zodiac is dwarfed. Again, there's the various sizes of icebergs, the vast and giant, and growlers, and bergy bits, and teeny weenies, and pack ice, and on and on. So I don't know where this would stand. It isn't large, but it's certainly large enough.
They can't really get out in the winter because of the ice. The pack ice becomes what's called fast ice, where it's stuck to the land, and it's very dense and thick. So the bergs that do come off, they are pushing the ice, the pack ice, and it crunches it and gives these amazing sort of uplifts in the pack. And sometimes you'll see a piece of pack ice that's been bent and twisted and contorted, and it's probably been shoved around by a bigger iceberg.
And pack ice, I guess, is the sort of the floating ice. What we heard getting coming up against the ship and just rocking us from time to time.
Here's one that's flipped over. Now, you can the glacial ice coming from the glaciers comes off and sort of floats around and finds this equilibrium. And as it sits there, it starts getting eroded away by the ocean. And when that happens, it starts cutting lines. So you can see this diagonal line across it. That's where the ocean water, at the surface of the water, was cutting it. So that used to be more horizontal. So it's tipped over to its right. So the top of the berg used to be what's now that angle on the right facing the ship. And this used to be the bottom of the iceberg, sort of dangling in the water. So now it's rolled, it's melted, it's got more wave erosion, and when it flips again, it'll have a new line that will be this horizontal line, flipped up again. Yeah, I've seen them roll. They look like giant monsters rolling around.
Wow.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. They're so big.
They are.
You can hear it too, I guess.
Well, when they break, you can hear them crack, and that crack is like a thunderous, lightning crack sound.
Whoa. What you're hearing is Kim taking the motor out of the water for a moment. I guess maybe unclogging it. What did you just bring on board here?
We can have this in our drinks tonight. It'd be lovely. Isn't that nice?
Okay, we have some ice. Oh, there it goes. And the blue just kind of scattered when it hit the water. You saw the blue come up. We were going to finish up the tour a little bit early. And then when next we meet, we'll be at Wally's hut on shore. Let's do a fade. We have arrived at the hut now, Wally's hut. And I don't think this thing, it's probably around 25, maybe 20 feet high, 25 feet high, 22. It's maybe lengthwise, widthwise, probably 20 by 20, not much more than that. 7 men spent many quiet hours in this hut. No radio, no communication, just mapping and dreaming. Many dreams were right here. We're about to enter Wally's hut right now. Remember, we're only 7 at a time. Elsa's just walking in. She's the 7th. We met her on the first Zodiac trip. We are inside the hut right now, really quickly. We're looking at some magazines. Woman is the name of one. It pictures the other, February 4th, 1956. And then snapshots. And not snapshots. There's a bottle of Cointreau empty. And photographs from magazines. an old oil burner, I guess. The motor, a John Bull magazine. There's an aroma. The bunk beds, the boxes, everything, I guess, the paint box, everything as is. Nothing's been touched. And this is what we're looking at, a couple of windows, very small. And then London County Council Venereal Diseases, free advisement and treatment. And we're going to get Wally's towel hanging. There's the soap. There's a little, I don't even see a bathroom here. So it looks like a little kitchen, but nothing. There are certainly no the modern amenities here. And Wally's going to give an average.
7 of us here, and 2 of us had to sleep on the floor. There wasn't space for us all in the bunks. And after a couple of days of that, I decided that was no good, so I moved outside in a tent. And 2 of us slept outside in a tent. So it gave a bit more space in the hut. And you know, it was warm and cozy and friendly, and it's wonderful to be here after having to travel along the plateau and meeting up with some new people that we hadn't seen before, you know. So we had a wonderful time, but we didn't have any food. That was the problem. So we had to go out to hunt. And we made a little sort of boat out of 2 sledges and some oil drums, and then paddle it with shovels out to sea to kill seals and penguins. We had about 24 dogs at that time, so they needed a lot of food. That's how we survived.
This is all wood, all wooden.
Yeah, it's made out of packing crates.
Made out of packing crates. You kind of feel like you're home right now, huh, Wally?
Well, it was never my real home. It was only a temporary one. You know, I was only here for about just under 3 months. But nevertheless, I mean, the memories are so special that it's a magic place to be.
You're all smiles.
And our marks are all over it, you know.
Yeah, everything is as it was, I guess.
All the magazines are dating from 1957, 56, 58, and that sort of period. And there are various marks on the walls, you know, which we made to... Even the marks of the men, the heights, you see, up here, the 3 heights. You know, just like when kids stand back against the wall and measure their heights, yeah. But they wouldn't let us put our heights here because they said we didn't qualify because we haven't been here long enough.
I'm looking at a sign, Hope Bay, on the bunk. The bunk, I guess, was made out of the sledge. Hope Bay sledge.
December 57.
December 57. So that's part of the sledge.
There were some men already here, is that
yeah,
right?
the 3 men.
Right.
Right.
How long had they been here?
They've been here for 9 months.
And they built this while
They built
had
it,
9
yeah,
months.
yeah. And then they came up to the plateau to show us the way down, to find a way and then show us the way down. And so by the time we got back down here, we didn't have any food left.
How did they know you were coming? I mean,
Oh, this was all arranged 2 years in advance.
Yeah, but I mean, what day you were going to arrive or anything?
We had no
Just
idea.
had
There's
just
no
had to watch
way of working that one out. We just took a chance on it. We didn't have a radio. We had no radio contact with each other.
Well, that's what I mean.
And we traveled all the way from Hope Bay, which is a very long way, and just met up with them by chance, really.
But they just happened to come up on the plateau enough.
Well, they had to find a way for us to get down. If they couldn't do that, then we had to go all the way back to Hope Bay. And unfortunately, they found a way, and they left a cairn on the summit there telling us how to get down.
Yeah. All right. I got that story.
I like the Huntley and Palmer's biscuits.
Yes, you'll find lots of sort of things around that are from that period of history, you know.
And when you folks walked out, this is the way it was left.
Just about. I mean, you see, here's one of these bars of soap I was telling you about, which has never been used, you see.
All right, Lux. Lux. Okay, we're going to step outside now. Right now we are looking at a sign over here, sort of a designation. It says Portal Point is an unoccupied British research station and now serves as an emergency refuge only, so it's still standing. Please do not enter except in an emergency. If you enter the station, you do so at your own risk. And on the understanding that neither the British Antarctic Survey nor the UK authorities will be liable for any personal injury or damage to property that you may sustain. Leave the station safely closed when you depart. Inform the British Antarctic Survey of your visit. And it's signed the Director of British Antarctic Survey, High Cross, Mattingley Road, Cambridge, the UK. Wally, this is a small space. There are 7 men here. Sometimes it can be a little rough in the small spaces. Your relationship with the 6 other gentlemen, was it sometimes strained or always?
Oh, no, we had an absolutely fantastic time. It was wonderful because it was so marvelous to actually meet them after all this time.
It's the same thing with if you press all the air out of the ice, it is reflecting to your eye more blues, and it's absorbing more reds.
It's just incredible.
Dense ice absorbs more reds, reflects more blues. White snow is reflecting all the colors, which is giving you that white color because there's so much air in fresh snow.
It's just incredible.
It is incredible, and it gets really deep blue ice. And the older it is, the bluer it's going to be.
And we're having a snow storm sort of here. Not a storm, but a pretty nice little
Look at the blue
fall.
straight down below
The
you.
blue is incredible. We're looking down underwater. The blue is incredible. I'm going to stop taping and get a picture of this. We are moving along and backing up a little bit now. Kim is backing up again. We're in a Zodiac. It's got a flat bottom, of course, a wooden bottom. It's all rubber, not rubber, but a type of rubber. There are pontoons along the side going up to the front. We go to a point in the front and the back. In the back,
plankton.
sharpened pencils.
And see, there's a rock right in there. See, there's a rock right in that. That is from somewhere inland. As it's dragging itself down the valley, it's picking up rocks and debris and depositing them out here. So some of these rocks in this bay could be from miles and miles inland. But the more intense sun you get throughout the...
It's really deep. This is the deepest I've seen it. Incredible. All this ice is fresh water. Over time, this salt is bleached out.
This black stuff, remember, is just frozen seawater, and it's just been frozen, and all the salt's gone. It's just solid, fresh ice. This big stuff came from all the glaciers around here. It's very old. It could be hundreds of years old, depending on how far it's traveled towards the shore as the glaciers move down the valley. So this could be several hundred-year-old big icebergs around here. It's really beautiful.
Big icebergs, nice size, passing through.
High up on the ship, and you're looking down on the pack ice. There's a leopard seal over there. It's very easy to see the route through the maze, but when you're down at this level, you can't really see. It's just a whiteout. It's hard to imagine where you're going to go.
Kimberly, Kim, the blue, look at this blue over here is incredible. What does that come from? Do you know?
That's old ice.